Hey Raiders fans, we need to have a serious conversation about what's happening with the Las Vegas Raiders offense this season. If you've been paying attention to the games, it's hard not to notice that things just aren't clicking the way they should, and a big part of that falls squarely on the shoulders of Chip Kelly. Now, Chip came into this role as the highest-paid offensive coordinator in the NFL, a man who's supposed to elevate this offense to elite levels. Yet here we are, watching a unit that looks inconsistent, confused, and frustratingly predictable week after week. This isn't just about a quarterback struggling or a few missed assignments. This is about a system that's failing to adjust, a leader who seems more focused on proving himself right than actually putting the team in the best position to succeed. One of the biggest issues with Kelly is his ego. We've seen it before in Philadelphia, and it appears that history is repeating itself in Las Vegas. There's a sense in the Raiders' locker room that he's not open to input, that he wants to enforce his will rather than collaborate with his players or make the in-game adjustments that are necessary to respond to defensive schemes. A prime example of this is the situation with Ashton Gentry. Kelly asked him to change his stance, even though that's not where the offense is struggling. Instead of addressing the plays and formations that are actually costing the team yards and points, the focus is on fixing minor details, which makes the offense less adaptable. When a player asks a valid question about a play or a formation, the response shouldn't feel condescending or dismissive. Professional athletes need to trust their coordinator, and if communication breaks down at that level, it inevitably shows on the field. It's not just communication either. It's the overarching approach to the offense. Kelly's scheme feels outdated. What we're seeing looks like a college system, one that might have worked at Ohio State or in other previous stops, but doesn't translate well to the modern NFL, where defensive coordinators are sharp, prepared, and quick to exploit predictable tendencies. This offense is too easy to read, which is something that really stands out on film. Watching the Raiders, you start noticing patterns almost immediately. On second down, the team often runs the same plays, forcing predictable sequences that opposing defenses can anticipate. Screens, inside runs, motion plays that are supposed to create confusion. They're limited, and when the quarterback struggles, there aren't enough adjustments being made to simplify the reads or open up better options. The predictability issue shows up in the statistics too. Las Vegas is running inside guard at an unusually high rate, more than any other team in the league. This approach may work occasionally, but it also leads to short gains and limits explosive plays. Outside runs and other versatile plays that could open the field are used far too infrequently. While there have been glimpses of success on scripted drives, particularly early in games, the team struggles as the game progresses, often stalling in critical moments. This inability to adapt is a fundamental flaw for any offensive coordinator, especially one being paid at the highest level to elevate the team's performance. Another critical piece of the puzzle is the quarterback situation. Geno Smith came into the season with expectations based on his performance over previous years, showing potential to be a top-tier quarterback with explosive plays and strong on-target metrics when the pocket is clean. Yet, under this offensive system, we're seeing regression. He's holding onto the ball too long, missing open receivers, and struggling with accuracy. Some of that is on him, no question, but a quarterback's performance is inseparable from the scheme he's executing. Chip Kelly's play calling and offensive adjustments are clearly impacting Geno's ability to perform at his level. A system that stifles a quarterback who was previously effective and capable of elite plays is not just flawed, it's actively hindering the offense. Talent on this team is not the issue. The Raiders have upgraded skill positions, and there's genuine talent at wide receiver, tight end, and running back. Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker are both capable of creating separation and making big plays. Brock Bowers at tight and has top-tier separation metrics, and Devontae Gentry has consistently proven himself as a reliable runner. These players are open, making the plays they're supposed to make, but the system and the coordinator aren't allowing the quarterback to find them consistently or put them in positions where explosive plays are the natural outcome. This is not a lack of skill. This is a lack of effective coordination and creative play calling. The numbers back up what we see on the field. Through 5 games, the Raiders' scoring averages are near the bottom of the league. Red zone efficiency is poor, turnovers are high, and the offensive yardage numbers, while modestly decent in certain categories, often reflect garbage time accumulation rather than productive drives. When you combine this with a quarterback who is struggling more than expected and a predictable, outdated offensive scheme, it paints a clear picture of an offense that's underperforming at the highest levels. Expectations were high, and the reality is disappointing because the problems are structural and leadership-driven, not talent-driven. Chip Kelly's refusal, or inability, to make timely adjustments is perhaps the most glaring issue. The NFL is a game of adjustments. Coordinators are paid millions not just for their initial game plan, but for their ability to read defenses, make changes, and create opportunities for their players to succeed. When a team faces challenges on the field and the coordinator fails to respond effectively, the result is predictable: stalled drives, missed opportunities, and frustration for everyone involved, from players to fans. At its core, that's exactly what we're seeing with Las Vegas this season. Geno Smith's struggles, the offense's predictability, the limited creativity, and the focus on proving ego rather than solving problems all feed into a cycle of underperformance. And it's not just about being frustrated with losses. It's about seeing the potential of this roster and watching it fail to reach it because the system is holding it back. Professional athletes need coordinators who amplify their skills, not constrain them, and unfortunately, the Raiders' offense under Kelly is a prime example of what happens when that principle is ignored. Continuing from the problems we've seen with the Raiders' offense, the next thing to focus on is how much of this regression is directly tied to the marriage between Chip Kelly and Geno Smith. Last season, even with fewer weapons and a less experienced offensive line, Geno managed to show flashes of the quarterback we thought he could be: precise, explosive, and capable of making the big plays that could turn games around. But this year, under Kelly's guidance, those flashes are practically gone. Instead, we're seeing a quarterback who hesitates, holds the ball too long, and misses targets that should be automatic. This isn't just an individual issue, it's a system-wide problem. A quarterback's performance is inseparable from the offensive coordinator's ability to put him in a position to succeed, and right now, the system is failing him. One of the most obvious examples is the Raiders' approach to play calling. The offense has become incredibly predictable, with tendencies that opposing teams can anticipate almost immediately. Second and long situations are practically telegraphed, inside runs are overused, and screens and misdirection plays that could create confusion are underutilized. A good offensive coordinator adapts to what the defense is showing, creates uncertainty, and finds ways to put players in situations where they can win one-on-one battles. Kelly's approach, however, feels rigid. There's a reliance on plays that worked in the past, a lack of in-game adjustments, and a reluctance to abandon schemes that are clearly being countered by the defense. The result is stalled drives, missed opportunities, and a quarterback who is left trying to make something happen against defenses that know exactly what's coming. We also have to look at how much the offensive line has contributed to the struggles. The line has regressed in several areas compared to last season, and that impacts everything the offense is trying to do. Even with talented skill players at wide receiver and running back, if the quarterback doesn't have time to throw and the run game is consistently met in the backfield, the system fails by default. However, it's important to note that this isn't solely a talent problem on the line. The scheme itself doesn't adapt to protect weaknesses or highlight strengths. For instance, the Raiders run inside guard plays at a league-high rate, but the outside runs that could exploit mismatches are rarely dialed up. This creates a bottleneck, predictable for defenses, and limits the explosive potential of players like Gentry, who can make defenders miss when given space. When it comes to Geno Smith specifically, the numbers tell a worrying story. He's on pace for a historically poor season in terms of interceptions and efficiency. Yet, if we look closer, it's clear that many of these issues stem from a lack of support in the form of adaptable schemes and effective play calling. Quarterbacks rely on rhythm, trust, and structure. They need coordinators who can adjust the game plan in real time. Without that, even the most talented signal caller can start to struggle, and unfortunately for the Raiders, that's exactly what's happening. Another layer to this problem is the overall philosophy of the offense. Kelly's system doesn't maximize the talents of the roster. Players like Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker are capable of creating separation and making plays, yet the offense doesn't consistently put them in positions to succeed. Tight ends like Brock Bowers, who excel in separation metrics, aren't featured in ways that create maximum value. The result is an offense that has the talent to compete at a high level but fails to execute efficiently because the coordinator isn't leveraging the pieces correctly. It's a classic mismatch between personnel and system, where the tools are there, but the blueprint doesn't allow for their proper use. Then there's the issue of predictability and in-game adjustments, or rather, the lack thereof. Defenses in the NFL are extremely sharp and can adapt quickly. If an offensive coordinator isn't making changes in response to what's happening on the field, the defense gains the upper hand almost immediately. Kelly's offense has shown that when the initial game plan is countered, there isn't enough improvisation to regain an advantage. Drives stall, opportunities are lost, and frustration mounts. This is evident in the way the Raiders often start games strongly, but falter as the game progresses, failing to maintain momentum. The first drive might look promising, but by the second and third quarters, the offense is stagnant, predictable, and vulnerable. Even in situations where the Raiders do manage some success, it's often due to individual talent rather than system efficiency. Gentry's running ability, the receiver's separation skills, and flashes from Smith are creating moments of success, but they're inconsistent. The offense isn't structured to maintain sustained drives or consistently capitalize on the talent on the roster. This is what separates good coordinators from great ones: the ability to not only design effective plays, but to adapt them in real time, ensuring that every player is positioned to succeed. Right now, Kelly isn't delivering that. We also have to consider how this affects morale. Players notice when adjustments aren't being made, when play calling is rigid, and when tendencies are predictable. Confidence starts to erode. Quarterbacks hesitate, receivers might not run with full trust in the play, and the offensive line reacts to predictable defenses rather than being set up for success. This creates a feedback loop where frustration breeds poor execution, and poor execution reinforces the sense that the system isn't working. For a team with playoff aspirations, this is a dangerous path. Finally, when comparing this offense to previous seasons, the decline is stark. Even when the Raiders had other coordinators with their own struggles, there was a level of creativity, unpredictability, or at least adaptation that kept defenses on their toes. This season, the numbers reflect a regression in every key area: points per game, efficiency in the red zone, turnovers, and explosive plays. It's not just about losing games. It's about failing to maximize the potential of the roster, and the evidence points directly to the coordinator's approach as a major contributing factor. The Raiders have the pieces to be a dynamic, competitive offense, but without a coordinator willing and able to adapt, communicate effectively, and leverage the talents of his players, the system is destined to underperform. Chip Kelly's reputation, experience, and paycheck suggest he should be elevating this team. But right now, the offense is stagnating, predictable, and struggling to find identity. The responsibility falls on him to recognize the disconnect between potential and performance and to implement the necessary changes, because the talent is unquestionably there. It's the strategy and leadership that are falling short. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be the most shocking twist of the NFL offseason, whispers are circulating that RASHEE Rice, the rising star wide receiver who had been carving out a name for himself at the Kansas City Chiefs, has reportedly severed ties with the reigning powerhouse. Sources close to the situation suggest that Rice, whose explosive speed and sharp route running have made him one of the league's most promising young talents, is now rumored to have donned the black and silver of the Las Vegas Raiders. The news, still unofficial, has sent shockwaves through the league and ignited a frenzy among fans on social media. Speculation is rampant. Was it a contract dispute, a desire for a bigger spotlight, or simply a clash of philosophies with the Chiefs coaching staff. Insiders hint that Rice has been quietly exploring options for months, but few could have predicted such a dramatic move. If true, this signing, or let's call it a switch, could reshape the dynamics of the AFC West. The Chiefs, long dominant with Patrick Mahomes at the helm, may suddenly find their aerial game shaken without Rice's presence stretching defenses. Meanwhile, the Raiders, who have struggled to find consistency at wideout, would gain not only a legitimate weapon, but a statement piece signaling serious ambition for the upcoming season. Fans are already buzzing with what-ifs and jersey swap photos, imagining Rice lining up opposite some of the league's toughest cornerbacks in silver and black. Analysts are cautiously optimistic, but curious about how quickly he could integrate into the Raiders' system and develop chemistry with their quarterback. Some suggest this could be a masterstroke, while others warn that a sudden jump between conference rivals carries inherent risks, both on and off the field. As the rumor mill spins faster, one thing is certain. Whether verified or merely wishful thinking, the very idea of RASHEE Rice stepping onto the field in Raiders colors has ignited conversations from Kansas City to Las Vegas. In the NFL, few things are as electrifying as a bold move like this. And if it comes to pass, Rice could instantly redefine his career and the balance of power in the AFC West. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.